Hello, I'm Colleen Holder and this is Let's Talk Tobago. This week we're coming to you from one of Tobago's premier tourist attractions, the Scarborough Botanical Gardens. Throughout our program we'll be telling you why the gardens are so special. But first, in our stories this week, Infrastructure Secretary Hilton Sandy says there'll be no laying off of workers. Secondary school athletes confident of being zonal champs for the 21st year in a row. And a policy is being drafted to protect Tobago's wildlife.
It's happening in the east, on the hill, on the waterfront, on the beach. It takes on the world. It's got pizzazz. It's a fiesta, and it's truly an amazing island experience. It's food, fashion, and it's fabulous. The Tobago Jazz Experience, April 20th to April 28th. Much more than music.
Let's begin with an assurance for Tobago workers that all development programs under the Division of Infrastructure and Public Utilities will continue. The Division's Secretary, Hilton Sandy, says employees from his department, CPEP and URP workers will not be on the breadline. Sophie Guillaume reports.
The work of the DIPU, but some of the development projects which have been approved, currently has no funding. This has caused some to fear that employees might be sent home. But the division secretary says this is far from the truth.
All the persons employed now will continue to be employed, but what's going to happen, we would not look to take on new persons at this time. We will hold the employment levels at that point, so that, and then when we review the finances with the Secretary of Finance, is reviewing his finances. After then, he will give instructions as to whether we can engage new persons on other projects.
At present, the division has funds to continue its work, but DIPU cannot start new projects until new funding is identified. Mr. Sandy says going forward, all new projects will be done on a priority basis, explaining that the division will have to ensure that funding is available. Sophie Guillaume, Let's Talk Tobago.
There's currently no wildlife policy in Trinidad and Tobago. This is why a team from the Ministry of the Environment and Water Resources and the Department of Natural Resources and the Environment in the Tobago House of Assembly and other stakeholders have drafted a national wildlife policy. They want to ensure that key issues such as the management of game species, wildlife habitats and the engagement of civil society in the management of wildlife can be dealt with. Caroline Wallace reports.
Tobago's hunters, the Department of Veterinary Services, Environment Tobago, Save Our Sea Turtles and other organizations are ensuring that they play a role in the drafting of the National Wildlife Policy. They want to ensure, among other things, the protection of endangered, vulnerable and near-threatened wildlife populations.
Back in the 50s and the 60s, we used to have a reindeer population here in Tobago, and it's completely extinct. What are you doing to implement bringing back the reindeer population here in Tobago, whether it's for hunting or for tourist attraction?
What I would like to find out is if we can sell some of our catches, because at the end of the hunting season sometimes we need to repair our firearms and it's very costly.
But when the wildlife policy becomes law, hopefully within a year's time, wildlife biologist Angel Ramsey says Tobago will better able to manage its natural resources.
What we have been doing is basically managing using the Conservation of Wildlife Act, right? And now that when we do have a policy, it will enrich our management expertise and technique.
And the average Tobagonian will then enjoy the island's wildlife.
In terms of seeing and being able to also participate in maybe rearing, because we have an area for wildlife farmers as well, right? So everybody, it's an inclusive policy. We don't want to leave out anyone, right? So for the hunters, for the conservationists, everyone, so that they can be able to enjoy it and be able to have something, so that we can have for our children and grandchildren down the road as well.
The Department of Natural Resources and Environment manages the natural resources on the island. The main focus is to build awareness on key issues developed in the policy. I'm Caroline Wallace for Let's Talk Tobago.
And the principals on the island learned a valuable lesson about the management of their schools. As we hear in this report, former educator and independent Senator Dr. Eastland McKenzie says the school situation is much more than what happens in the classroom.
Some of Tobago's principals, assistant principals, supervisors and senior teachers. Every year they get together for an annual conference, and this time they're guided by the theme, Evaluating School Effectiveness, Accountability for Student Performance. But even as they consider this idea, former independent senator and public servant Dr. Eastland Mackenzie wants them to ensure that whatever they do leads to some accomplishment.
It could be to judge the worth of an ongoing program. We are doing this program. I am going to evaluate how is it going? Is it making sense? Is it cost effective? Is it giving me the result I'm looking for?
She says principals should ask themselves whether or not the exercise will increase the effectiveness of the program, management and administration.
People feel that the school situation is only about the teacher in the classroom. Your management system could be awful. The system that you have to manage and so on, whether it's to manage the staff, whether it's to manage the plant, whether it's to manage the children, whether it's when to ring the bell, whatever it is, you could look at that, because that could have an effect and a negative effect on how you manage your school.
Dr. Mackenzie also wants educators to remember that the delivery of the curriculum is a critical aspect of evaluating a school's effectiveness.
When the teacher brings up the test for end of term, you're afraid to tell the teacher, Miss, what is this testing? What is this testing? What did you teach? And you shouldn't be asking what they teach, because you should know what they taught.
This principals' conference has been going on for over 50 years. I'm Davia Chambers for Let's Talk Tobago.
It's time to take another break, but on the other side, we'll tell you about Tobago's bid to hold on to the secondary schools track championship for yet another year. Welcome back. You're viewing Let's Talk Tobago. Today we're at the Botanical Gardens, which sits on a total of 17 acres of land. Or put more simply, it's just about 5 times the size of the Queen's Park Oval, or just about the size of 5 cricket pitches put together. But enough of the history of our Botanical Gardens for now. Let's tell you about how this island ensures it's remembered every year during the National Secondary Schools Track and Field Championship. Tobago has been zonal champs for a long time, 2 decades to be exact, and this year the athletes intend to ensure that things will be no different. Their confidence level is high as they prepare to compete in the 27th edition of the competition. Sophie Guillaume is at the Dwight York Stadium for the Tobago qualifiers, and she files this report.
Javelin, high jump, long jump, discus, shot put, and of course, running. Tobago is all set to be zonal champions for the 21st year in a row.
I always perform well, so I just hope I just keep improving.
My chances to make the curve aside, it's pretty tough, but hopefully I'll make it with all the training I did for off-season and pre-season. From my coach, Alan Morrison, and Wade Franklin, and everybody else, all my other coaches, it should be great.
We have a lot of talented athletes. I still give Tobago 100% support in winning back the National Intercol this year. Because, I mean, people were concerned about whether we're carrying a good team or a watered-down team. But if you look at some of the races that have been run off today, we realize we have some top-quality athletes. And some of these same athletes is going to be representing Tobago come this weekend at the Character Trials. So we have a good chance of winning back the National Intercol this year.
With the Dwight York Stadium and the Mondo track in need of repair, the decision was made to have a scale-down version of the Tobago Championships. That is, no runoffs, just finals. Still, the island has been able to put together a credible team, but one of the coaches involved wants more for the athletes.
Track and field is a building sport in Tobago. We don't need a football field with a track around it. Track and field need a home, just like football has a home in the Dwight York Stadium. We need an athletic center so that we could go with the athletes to prepare them for any competition, where they could train morning, midday, night, whatever time that is available to them to train. We need an athletic center where the train could go and train in comfort.
120 students from 8 secondary schools, as well as 5 unattached, form the contingent which will represent Tobago at the March 6 national competition hosted by the Trinidad and Tobago Secondary Schools Track and Field Association. The Tobago leg of the championship is sponsored by the Tobago House of Assembly. It has produced talents such as Kellyanne Batiste, Josan Lucas and Rennie Kwao.
We're shifting gears from the track to our classroom. It's a known fact that you cannot learn, at least not at your full capacity, if you're hungry. And the School Nutrition Unit at the Division of Education is ensuring that no child endures this. All government-based schools benefit from a school feeding program. Davia Chambers explains.
Going to school on an empty stomach? Well, one thing is certain. When you get there, you'll be fed. No student in Tobago has to worry about being hungry at school. Tyler Sibachan of Blackrock Government Primary tells us she's very happy to receive both breakfast and lunch.
School feeding is very beneficial because I know that, and even the breakfast program, because my mommy does work and she doesn't be able to give me breakfast and lunch every day, and from that day since I joined Blackrock Government Primary School, I'm getting breakfast and lunch, so my mommy doesn't have to worry about that. And even the children in Blackrock Government School just be getting the food, even when the parents can't even afford.
Mark Williams says it helps his parents to save money, which benefits him in the long run.
I think the school feeding is very nice. They bring sufficient school feeding, not because it benefits to help our parents home, because not every day could afford.
Lenisa is proud that there's a program that takes care of her and other students.
I think the school feeding program is very great at the school. Every child here gets what the school feeding brings. No child ever goes hungry. Their parents don't have to go and stress out about cooking food for them. So when they reach school, they're healthy, they're getting what they need for their brains to function well.
The school's principal says the program is of tremendous benefit to his school.
Sometimes when the children come from home and they don't have breakfast, we had instances where people would have fallen ill, the children would have fallen ill. And usually the usual answer for that is that they didn't have breakfast on mornings. So we try to encourage, especially the very needy ones, to come out of school early so that they'll have a proper breakfast.
Added to that, the students say the lunches are always healthy.
I think the school feeding program is very good. Healthy. They're bringing a lot of veggies and stuff the body needs.
At Blackrock Government Primary, over 100 students benefit from the school feeding. But on a wider scale, close to 15,000 meals are given on a daily basis to primary and secondary school children in Tobago. I'm Davia Chambers for Let's Talk Tobago.
A scenic view while shopping, but it's not just any view but that of the waterfront. It's the stuff most people dream of, and it's right here in Tobago. From food to music to a well-tailored suit if you so desire, these are some of the amenities available from small business owners when you go to the Milford Road Scarborough Esplanade. Omadara Mills went to this part of Scarborough, and as she tells us, it's also a place to unwind.
Some of the 22 booths which provide scenic shopping at the Milford Road Scarborough Esplanade. Here, shoppers can find a range from food catering, garment construction, leather work and spa services. Dale Wallace of Cut to Fit Tailoring has been a tenant on the Esplanade since November 2011. He says he chose to carry out his business in this part of Scarborough because of the convenience of the location.
I chose the Esplanade because it's a nice location in Scarborough. It's close to a lot of the essential services, and it has a lot of traffic, which would be good for business.
But businesses are not the only services which are provided. Manager of the Esplanade, Sean Anthony, says that they have attracted hundreds of Tobagonians to the venue with activities such as trade shows, Great Drinks Festival, sporting events and Fish Fridays.
Over the years, we did a wide slew of different activities, from
small business trade shows, and that we did. We also did, well, currently we're doing the Fish Fridays, which is the first Friday of every month, where the food vendors prepare fish dishes, all right, and at the end of the evening, we also have what we call after work lime.
Another reason for persons coming to the location is the safety it provides.
I mean, people come here with their kids, with their families, and walk the facilities, enjoy the facility, and when they have events, they can actually enjoy the sea and the sun, and enjoy the facility, on a whole.
One patron of the venue, Clarence Mapp, says he enjoys the facilities because he's able to come and relax with his friends.
Well, the Esplanade to me is a very nice place to come and enjoy and lime and have a good time. It's an open, fun place to be.
Yeah. Another patron, Cassell Campbell, enjoys the food and the benefit of cooling down from the heat of Scarborough.
Well, I find it very convenient, you happen to be on work, pants drip, come and get a little pants stack, you want a leather slipper, you want anything, a little Sava food,
The facilities on the Esplanade caters for small business owners and several social activities, but it is also a place that some opt to use for quieter purposes, such as meetings or just getting away from the hustle of Scarborough. And what's here will be enhanced further when the Scarborough Esplanade Extension project is completed, which includes a sidewalk, landscaping, benches and lights. I'm Umadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
It was established back in 2004 but ran into major problems that almost caused it to collapse. But with some grit and determination, this facility is now a success and a bit of a savior to Tobagonian businesses. What are we talking about? Davia Chambers will explain.
This is Anthony Cipriani, owner of Fruit King in Scarborough. But before he started using the Tobago cold storage and warehouse facilities, he had to make frequent trips to Trinidad every week to get fresh fruits.
I bring up enough fruits that could be whole in stock at the cold storage facilities, and it's more beneficial in terms for me, less cost in the pocket.
He says that he doesn't have to buy fruits as often.
In terms of travel, it's really, really efficient. And I really thank for these facilities.
But other businesses also benefit. Fish processors, farmers who supply meat products, companies involved in fast food production, supermarkets, restaurants, among others.
Because of our constraints within our stores themselves, we do not have adequate cold storage facility. So with the cold storage facility there, we are able to always be sure that we have sufficient stocks. Because without that, obviously, we would be spending top in mud, as they say. Because we would certainly be running out of stock, if not every week, at least every other week.
They've been using the facilities since inception. He says it has made doing business in Tobago a lot easier.
Without that facility, it means we will have to have cold storage stuff coming up every single week. And with the sized vehicles that come up, a lot of them cannot be facilitated on the fast ferries, so we have to depend slowly on the Warrior Spirit. And sometimes to get bookings for that for the trucks is a problem.
But the cold storage facility almost went out of business. The company was in limbo a few years ago because of operational and financial challenges. At that point, its parent company Niptec thought it best to get out. But so important this facility is to the social and economic development of Tobago, the Assembly felt it just could not let this happen.
The Tobago House of Assembly could not act as a passive spectator to the demise of this important entity, and the THA therefore took the decision to purchase the entire facility from Niptec.
The cold storage also has blast freezing capabilities, used mainly for flying fish, fresh meats, and ice production. Tico Swaf was established in 2004. I'm Davia Chambers for Let's Talk Tobago.
We're taking another short break, but when we return, Tobago gets a taste of the culinary world.
Because of hard times, I was feeling kind of useless. Went into the city, I bought an oven and decided to open a little cake shop. I went into the office and I got a form, and the staff was very helpful, and they helped me make up the form and give me all different kind of, information, and it was easy, very easy. I would say thanks to the Business Development Unit for all the assistance that they are giving to me.
Redefining business, protecting Tobago's heritage.
You're viewing Let's Talk Tobago. Welcome back. The Scarborough Botanical Gardens is home to many exotic plants, some of which originate from the jungles of Africa and Southeast Asia. And since 1899, the botanists here have been protecting these magnificent plants so that we can enjoy their beauty. Now, speaking of beauty, our students saw a different side to the culinary world, one that's not restricted simply to cooking. They learned that cake artistry is another lucrative area in the food industry, which can allow them to open their own businesses and travel all over the world. Here's what students told Omadara Mills about the workshop, which inspired them to merge their passion with business.
Using food to create art and make the culinary experience a bit more interesting and pleasing to the eye. 93 students from this island learned this and more when they participated in a workshop put on by the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute. Tyrell Daniel of Pentecostal Light and Life is eager to learn it all, from cake design to catering for weddings.
It was interesting, and not every day you'll be doing the same thing over and over. So every day you do something different. And I want to reach further and be rich.
The workshop was facilitated by celebrity pastry chef, Food Network star, and owner of 3 businesses, York Amsler. His job gives him the opportunity to work in places such as hotels, cruise ships, and executive restaurants all over the world. He loves the limitless possibilities.
I think it's a great profession because we have so many different branches in our profession. We can be pastry chefs, we can be bakers, we can work at a fine dining restaurant and do plated desserts, we can work in a production facility, we can do wholesale. And the nicest thing I think about our profession is that we have a tremendous freedom on our artistry.
York has won several pastry, cake and chocolate competitions over the years. His advice to cake and pastry students wanting to start their own business is create products that stand out.
You have to have a passion for this. It's not an easy industry because there's a lot of competition. You have to set yourself apart from the pack.
The workshop allowed students to get actively involved in the creative process of mold making and creating designs out of fondant.
I see myself being more of a baker because I like cake more than pastries.
I learned about the carving of any fruits, and I find it was very interesting. I learned a lot. I would actually like to try because I would like to be an executive chef.
The marketing manager of the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute says the institution believes it's important to expose secondary and tertiary students to cake decorating because this aspect of the food industry is a profitable and growing one around the world.
We are actually seeing a number of students engaging and starting their own business. From an institution standpoint, we are also looking into that sector as well to even have some of our products, some of the products of the students out there on the market as well.
This workshop was one of 3 sessions hosted by THTI in collaboration with York Amsler. I'm Omadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
And as Tobago continues its thrust to boost tourist arrivals, a number of key stakeholders came together in hopes of strengthening the sector. Let's hear what's being done to ensure this island regains its edge as a premier destination for tourists the world over.
The Institutional Strengthening and Capacity Building Program is expected to provide full management and administrative support to the Bed and Breakfast Association on the island. The hope is that this will eventually improve the visitor experience in Tobago.
The Institutional Strengthening Program would provide businesses like myself, as well as the Bed and Breakfast Association, with the tools it needs to face this market that we have at the present time.
Although the program is appreciated, some stakeholders believe other elements would improve the destination and the industry.
In my opinion, could be the best destination in the Caribbean
And I think we have a more mature person and we have a very dynamic young person who wants to take Tobago tourism forward.
But the improvements everyone hopes for will only come with changes. As the Minister of Tourism sees it, it starts with providing a customer service that is second to none.
Why is it then that we are having why is it that we have not been the leader of the pack for decades? What is the reason for that? And I think one of the areas of concern for me is our level of service that we provide.
Nevertheless, the Secretary of Tourism and Transportation feels Tobago has the opportunity to become more competitive.
It offers you the opportunity to better yourselves and also your organization's capacity to deliver the requisite goods and services for success in this industry.
Secretary Davidson Celestine says arrivals to the island has increased by 2% over the period 2011 to 2012. She says that even though this is optimistic for the industry, the idea is that the program will strengthen the sector so that it can meet its goals and objectives in a sustainable way. The program is a collaborative effort between the Division of Tourism and Transportation and the Tourism Development Company under the Small Tourism Enterprises Project, STEP. From the Division of Tourism and Transportation, I'm Juliet James reporting for Let's Talk Tobago.
And it's time for you to have your say. And this week we wanted to ask you about the Assembly's move to foot the bill for the repair of the Dwight York Mondo track that will cost $10 million. Here's what you said.
Having the stadium repaired is something beautiful because we have a lot of athletic students out here. We have students that are participating in sports today, such as track and field. And most of those students don't really have the opportunity of coming to the tracks to practice. And if we have the track here repaired, I believe there's going to be a lot of changes in the athletic department for Tobago, most of all.
I feel that it's a good idea because the way how the track is now, it's not in a good condition for athletes to run on, and it will benefit us if the track repairs soon so that we can train on a track instead of training on grass. So our body and the atmosphere will get accustomed to running track.
I'm kind of disappointed that the track ain't fixed as yet because they said that the stadium was under renovation and all of that. And I really think that they should fix it faster because we have some very good athletes in Tobago. And, normally we just go to Trinidad and win every year and things. So I feel we should kind of fix it faster than this.
To be running under these circumstances here today, it's just really poor, I'm a bit upset because, I'm from Tobago and when training, when I need training, I don't get enough training because the track isn't good, so I always have to either go and run on the road or in Shore Park, and Shore Park isn't well equipped as yet.
It's the one and only, and we took years before we get it, and we really and truly need to treat it as our own.
Once it is in Tobago, I think the THA has a role to play, and I was hoping that it would have been done already. But once it's Tobago, I think Tobago should be in charge of Tobago things, Tobago property, and therefore I'm indeed happy that they have stepped in.
And that's how we bring this week's edition of Let's Talk Tobago to a close. Do remember you can now send us your comments to information@tha.gov.tt or visit us at www.tha.gov.tt. On behalf of all of us at the Department of Information, I'm Colleen Holder. Have a safe and enjoyable week.